Hey there, movie fans, and welcome to Screen Snark, a show dedicated to the movies that are on our eyes, in our minds, and on our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank, and I'm coming in at the top of the episode to let you know that this one was plagued with some technical difficulties. There will be a shift in the audio quality around the 6-minute mark. Before that is what I could gather of our guest Hans and Matt talking about Detective Pikachu. No spoilers, I promise. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for not only listening to the show, but your kindness and understanding during this less than stellar sounding episode. We will be back to a normal, more pleasing level audio in 2 weeks. So here comes the show in progress, and I love you.
I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
I do want to introduce our guest, who is Hans Martin Jr., your Real Movie Critic.
How y'all doing today? Thanks for having me.
It's really funny. Actually, Hans has been messaging with me because I was recently on their Detective Pikachu episode of Real Movie News and Review. And he was like, by the way, if you guys ever need a guest, I'm totally excited to be on. And I was like, yeah, I'll keep you in my back pocket, knowing that you want to be on and you're really accessible. Like, I may want to wait a little bit. Lo and behold, like 3 days later, I'm like, dude, can you do it? I know it's last minute and you're a mensch.
Oh,
and you're
sure.
gonna be
Not a
on the
problem.
show, so
I'm happy
thank
to
you,
be
Hans.
here.
And we'll get into more about your legacy as the Real Movie Critic and the podcast that you do and the movie reviews you do. But first, let's do what we always do and talk about the movies we've seen lately. And I will start, as predicted, and as I mentioned previously, the most recent movie I've seen is the movie Detective Pikachu, which... Oh, so me and Rachel have the same. All right, so... to set some guidelines for me and Rachel then, I don't want to spoil it. On Real Movie News and Reviews, which you can find on certainpov.com, we do a preface that's non-spoilery and then go into spoilers. So if you want to listen to a more in-depth discussion that I had, spoiler-wise, you should go check out that episode. I feel like the movie's still new enough that I may want to avoid spoilers and just talk about the more general things I love, which means that my biggest complaint will remain... anonymous for now, just because it's part of the reveals later in the movie, and so I don't want to call attention to it now. But on the whole, I loved it. I had fun. Ryan Reynolds is charming as hell, as always. Justice Smith is perfect for that babyface hero. I feel like he's taking up the mantle that was once held by what's his name, who played Scott Pilgrim, that I'm blanking on now. Michael Cera as that baby-faced young hero, but Justin Smith definitely has a lot more, how do I put it nicely, character? Also, the opportunity to see a legend like Ken Watanabe interact with Pokemon, on so many levels, makes me so happy, because he's just such a brilliant actor in everything that he does. And one of my favorite character actors who's in a ton of stuff, to see him... because he carries a lot of the dramatic scenes too, because he's talking about the main story is that Tim's father has gone missing or might be dead, and so Tim is trying to find out what's going on, and at first is kind of adverse to it, and Ken Watanabe's character, this chief detective, plays almost every scene so straight and so serious and is so good. It's just, I love it. It's so great. I also appreciated on another level that the actor who plays Darpinder in Deadpool was in the opening scenes of this movie, playing Tim's best friend. That was really cool. And also, I loved how they depicted the realism of trying to catch a Pokemon and how it's actually really dangerous and you could get hurt. That was fun. Yeah, as a whole, I really had a good time. I laughed out loud a lot. And honestly, there are a lot of kids' movies that I like, that I've seen, and because ideally this movie is for kids. It's for adults who grew up with Pokemon, but it's more or less marketed towards kids. You know, a lot of kids' movies I'll go to and are sort of funny, but I won't really laugh out loud. I'll just kind of snicker or have fun. Like the Wreck-It Ralph movies, I really love, but it's rare that I laugh out loud at those movies. There are moments, but for the most part, it's kind of like, oh, I see what you did there. You know, that's real funny. But this, like, there were definitely lines that probably my favorite moment, I think, in the whole movie. And this isn't a spoiler. I mean, I guess maybe you can consider it a minor spoiler. There's a part where Pikachu is really sad, and so he's singing the Pokemon theme, I Want to Be the Very Best, to himself while sad and crying, and it's like peak Ryan Reynolds meta miracle in a movie.
Yeah, as a Pokemon fan myself, I really had a lot of fun with that, with the movie, watching the movie. I took out my nephew and niece. They loved it. Especially my nephew, who's a huge Pokemon fan, and I think that's what it's all about: is to bring your family and to just enjoy it. And afterwards, we just wanted to go play Pokemon Go right after.
Right?
Oh yeah, I keep contemplating getting Let's Go Eevee and just being like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. It's fine. I'm doing this.
I have Let's Go Pikachu on the Switch. I love it. I only got bored with it because it is a rehash of the story from the original game.
Yeah.
And so for me, I got bored, but I don't think that's any detriment to the game. I think for me, and I've mentioned this on other gaming podcasts, a variety that I've been on. Pokemon, to me, the catching is the interesting part. So if the story doesn't hook me, that can't carry it alone. And a lot of the Pokemon games have okay stories because the avatar is kind of just a vehicle for you.
Yeah.
But I will say that playing Pokemon on the Switch, because, you know, the graphics are better, they look more realistic and all of that, you know, that made it a lot more fun. So I do recommend it. If you don't have Let's Go Eevee yet for the Switch, Rachel, I would say definitely get it because it would be, I think you'd really enjoy it.
Cool. Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm pretty much sold on getting the dumb game. I just need to figure out what other one I'm gonna buy to use. Like, you know, the Switch has these tickets now. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
have the online subscription, you
Which-
get 2 vouchers, which essentially gets you $10 off 2 games,
Yeah.
so $20 off total.
Yeah. So, and I have that, and so just gotta figure out the other one I want. Probably. So, we already have Smash Bros. Maybe.
Get on our level.
Listen, I'm gonna sound super basic, but I'm gonna say maybe Yoshi's Crafted World. Like, let's just
Look.
really lean into that fucking cuteness factor.
The aesthetic of that game is brilliant. I played the demo and didn't love how it controlled, so for me, I wouldn't buy it. But
Yeah.
honestly, I'm also sometimes a very snooty gamer. I think it's more come from a place that I have so little time to play games. I want it to be games that I like, and so I'm more risk averse to buying games than I won't play, which I still do plenty of. But all right, well, bring it back to Detective Pikachu.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of a 3-word review. I know I inserted one onto Real Movie News and Reviews, but I'm going to try and think of a fresh one for this. But the last thing I did want to talk about really quick is and ask Rachel this question, and Hans, because you've both seen it. So everyone loves Detective Pikachu. Ryan Reynolds' Pikachu is great.
Yeah.
But besides him, because I want to get, since we're all Pokemon fans here to some degree or another,
Yeah.
what Pokemon did you identify with most? And I'll start because while I like to think of myself as a Pikachu, I know in my heart I'm a Psyduck. All of the scenes where they're like, "You're so anxious, your head might explode," or "So we're listening to the spa music so you don't kill us all." Like, there's a Psyduck in my heart. So that, I think, is the Pokemon I related to the most. Hans, which Pokemon did you relate to the most?
And we're talking about from the movie. Is that what you're saying? Man, that's a good question. I'm gonna have to go with Charizard.
Yeah.
You know, always have something to prove. You know, that's kind of like my mentality. Sometimes I got to prove him wrong. You know, so for
That's
sure.
a good one. Rachel?
I mean, not to be like, ooh, let's lean into the femness of it all. But just based on the cameo alone, I'd have to go with Jigglypuff. For real though, just like singing and snoozing. I'm actually already like, if we're gonna be like snoozing, I'm already in my pajamas. because it's late. For this record, it's late. And I'm just like,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. I'm not mad. Listen, I'm wearing a rad ass like me undies onesie covered in cassette tapes. So I look really cool. There's like a hood and everything, and I'm just like in my house, in my PJs making quote unquote content. Uh but speaking of Pokemon and like relations to there's sort of been a storm in the wake of Detective Pikachu of artists drawing themselves with their Pokemon and what they would be doing
Yes.
together. And it's adorable. And I think if I were going to have a drawing of something, it would just be me snuggling with my Growlithe.
Mm,
Mm.
that's good. I mean, it's funny after saying Psyduck, I do realize that, and
But like
like
that's
as a
not the movie. So like there wasn't a
right,
Growlithe in the movie, but I'm just saying like I would snuggle my lion dog.
and realistically, as a DJ, as a primary
Oh yeah.
source of artistry, Loudred,
Loudred.
who's in whose use in the movie is
Yeah.
brilliant. The fact that they have them beatboxing, like brilliant. But that would probably be more my Pokemon in general as a
Hmm.
DJ. I feel like.
I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, all right, let's do our 3-word reviews. Rachel, do you have one for Detective Pikachu?
For Detective Pikachu. Um hmm.
Cue the Jeopardy song.
Dun, I'm trying to caught my heart.
Ah,
Aw,
nice.
that's so
That's
cute.
adorable. Um, all right, my 3-word review, which I want to believe is different from the previous ones I've given, is electrifying and funny.
Electrifying and funny. Very good, very good.
All right.
Um, all right, well, since Rachel and I both had the same most recent movie, which
Yeah,
is
I mean I
Detective,
could I could talk about the other movie that I watched on the same night as Detective Pikachu. It was an earlier screening, but it was the same night. Like
oh,
if we're
what and
talking
what and what movie was that?
The Hustle.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I've seen
yeah.
that.
My friend who got me into an early screening of John Wick 3 um has sort of like a standing engagement on like Thursdays to see movies, and so we penciled in some time to do a double feature where we saw The Hustle first and then we watched Detective Pikachu. But I did watch The Hustle, the Anne Hathaway Rebel Wilson comedy vehicle, and it is a beat for beat remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And I loved
I
it, and I'm not mad about it at all. Like, spoilers, it's that movie, but who were we kidding? It's that movie. Like, it looks like that movie. It's very good. And as someone who liked Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and enjoyed the musical Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, I liked this. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was fine. It was fun enough.
Yeah, I was curious to see it. I'm not curious enough, obviously, to see it in theaters.
Yeah.
I'll probably wait for it to come to a couch near me, as my
Hmm.
mom used to say. But Rebel Wilson is hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's very funny, but I think some of the roles that she gets or takes are more about being annoying or being
Mm-hmm.
obnoxious than
Yeah.
being comical. Because there are like I've seen clips of Pitch Perfect, and she's very funny in that. Like
Yeah.
they give her some really great scenes, but a lot of the trailers I saw for the Hustle, felt like, oh, she's supposed to be dumb or inexperienced, and like let's laugh at her. And I was a little bummed that was kind of the way the role went. I'm sure having watched the movie, I might feel differently, but it at
Hmm.
least turned me off in the trailer. That said, after seeing Anne Hathaway in Ocean's 8, where I thought she was great,
Yeah.
I was ready for this movie because it seems like it's just a similar character.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I'll probably watch it once it's on Netflix or whatever equivalent of Netflix. But I'm glad that you got to see it and enjoyed it. Um,
Yeah.
would you say that uh, since it's a beat for beat remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, did you like it better than Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, or do you like the original better, or are they still enough different that it's kind of doesn't matter?
I mean, it kind of doesn't matter, like it's a remake, and the better or the worstness of it is kind of like super subjective because it's just like it's kind of like just watching a play again but a different cast where you're just like, "Oh, I know where this is going to go." So maybe for the returns um on the jokes and the beats might have been a little lost for someone if they were intimately familiar with Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but again, like I just was enjoying it as like a comedy, even if it was just the same like French Riviera town and one very high class grifter begrudgingly teaching a low class grifter how to do higher grifts, and then and then mistaken identities and double crosses and triple crosses ensue, and you know it's fine.
I personally saw it. I thought it was okay. I
Yeah,
personally loved Anne Hathaway. I thought she was awesome in her
very
role
good. Yeah.
in the film. But Rebel Wilson to me, he was still kind of annoying to me.
Hmm.
I'm not a big fan of her, to be quite honest. I mean, she was great in Pitch Perfect. The first two, I don't know about the third one, um, but even then, I still find it kind of predictable. And I had not seen the original Dirty
Yeah.
Rotten Scoundrels. I still found it quite predictable. I kind of knew what was going to happen. I had a good idea. And but I thought overall it was okay. I kind of had fun seeing them try to one up each other. I think that was the most fun part that I seen in that film. So
And Rachel, if you had to give it a 3-word review, what would your 3-word review of The Hustle be?
Dirty, rotten scoundrels.
I
There
mean,
you
sure,
go.
why not? There you go. On the nose.
It's three
On.
words and it's exactly the review. Like, you don't need to know anything else, really. It's
Excellent.
just Dirty Rotten
Uh,
Scoundrels, and I'm not mad about it.
there you go. That's good.
I hung out in the Dave and Buster's in Times Square after seeing The Hustle, and then I went back and I watched Detective Pikachu.
there
Everything's
you go.
fine. That's a Thursday. But bam.
Sounds like a fun Thursday to me.
It was a great
Yeah, same
Thursday.
here.
All right. Well, Hans, what movie have you seen? And like, it sounds to me also based on your social media presence and how you talk on Discord, it is not rare for you to see only one movie. You will often see multiple movies in a night or in a sitting or even in a weekend. But what is
Yes.
the most recent movie you saw that you're at least going to talk about?
Now, I'm not going to talk about things I saw in the movie theater. It's for me, it's just yeah. You could check out my other podcast for that.
Yeah.
but here's one that I actually did see recently, and it's actually one of my favorite, definitely top 5 favorite movies out there for me. And that movie, and if you're into mob movies, this one is to me one of my favorites, and that is The Departed, or should I say The
Oh.
Departed, in the Boston accent. Now,
Mhm.
let me tell you why this is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Okay, and this is a little biased, so bear with me. I am from Boston, the great city of Boston, and I know all the New Yorkers are not liking me now, but but this
Oh,
was
I'm sorry, Hans. We're too busy and too important to care. Like, New Yorkers are statistically the most busy and the most important of
that may be true.
anybody, just
That may be
like
true.
for real. So don't even sweat it. They're all just like tweeting about Game of Thrones. It's fine.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. But but I'm from the city of Boston, and this is one of the first really big budgeted films to actually be filmed in in, in the city of Boston, which is a very big deal with great big name actors and everything. Everybody in the city was excited. So when that movie came out, we supported it
Hmm.
big time. And it's a mob movie about the Irish mob. And of course, it's a great movie where you had two different stories. You have an undercover cop in the mob, and then you also have a mole from the mob in the police force. And so you can see craziness can ensue. And man, you got some great acting from well, Leonardo DiCaprio, who to me is one of my favorite actors out there. You got Matt Damon. You also got Mark Wahlberg in there. Um, Alec Baldwin, Anthony Anderson. I mean, Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
That's a great cast already. And what's funny to me, I know I don't have the accent, but I know how authentic it could be. And Leonardo DiCaprio's accent was way better than Matt Damon, and Matt Damon is actually from Boston. And I'm like, how does that make any sense? But
He's
man,
just
what a
he's too close to it,
Yeah, exactly.
you
well,
know.
technically he's from Cambridge. That's where all the MIT and Harvard people are. But whatever. But I mean, props to DiCaprio because his was sound pretty authentic. And but man, it was a great story. Oh man, it was just a lot of fun to watch how everything got executed. Um,
Executed. Get it?
I see what you did
Get
there.
it?
ah,
Get it?
ah, yeah.
I've
I
seen
did not
this.
do that on purpose, but yeah.
I I've seen
Uh,
this movie.
I actually have to make a confession. I've never seen The Departed. I know I should,
Man.
but I've never seen it.
Do you like mob
Um,
movies?
I mean, I don't mind them. It's funny, like I only saw The Godfather recently, which I liked. You know, I kind of it's I think it's like in a film connoisseur's DNA to have to like The
Hmm.
Godfather at this point. But like I've watched a fair amount of mob movies, and I do tend to enjoy them. I think for me, the how captivating the story is and how good the acting is more important than the setting or that it is in fact a mob movie. And of course, I've heard that The Departed is phenomenal. I've never gotten around to seeing it, which like I think about it's funny you don't realize where the gaps in your movie watching history is
Hmm.
until like people bring up really obvious really well-known movies and you go, oh, that's a thing I actually haven't seen.
Yeah.
Rachel, have you seen The Departed?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm in the executing joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Probably one of the happiest days of my life is when that movie actually won the Oscar for Best Picture.
Oh
Because I tend to
yeah.
not to agree with the Oscar winners, but this one got it on the nose for me, and I was cheering up and down. Yes, yes. And let me tell you something. After that movie, now there's so many films filmed in Boston now that's
Sure.
causing so much traffic now, which annoys the heck out of me. And I used to be an Uber driver, and yeah, when Ghostbusters came out, I'm like, really, all that traffic for that dumb movie? I'm sorry, but 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 man, I mean, even I'm from Malden, and some films are actually filmed right there, right around my backyard, like maybe 2 blocks down.
Yeah.
And then, like Patriots Day, for example, and every time I watch it and I see those, it's just a street, but I know that street. I was like, hey, I know that street, and yeah, to me, it's always a great thing. And I know in the new Godzilla movie, it looks like the final battle is going to be filmed in Boston too. I'm sorry, I'm telling a lot about my city, but that's how
It's all
that,
good.
That's
you know
okay.
that's how excited I am when it comes to that. I live in Orlando now, and I guess probably in the summertime, I think I like Boston more.
Yeah.
But and so, um, but yeah, like I said, the acting. I mean, Mark Wahlberg, he was awesome as well. Um, and Alec Baldwin. I mean, so many quotes that I like as well. One of my favorite is when that one scene where they're doing the sting, trying to get that the main guy, Jack Nicholson's character, his character name slips away from me, and
The Joker.
yeah, the Joker.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Joker, sure. Um,
You complete me. No, you make me want to be a better man. Sorry, I get
but
those two confused.
so the thing is that the sting was went wrong, and then so Mark Wahlberg's character, Sergeant Dingham, he was like complaining. Yeah, okay, there we go. But he was like saying, "Oh, whose fault is this? How come you didn't do best job?" And then one of the guys is like, "Excuse me, who are you?" And he goes, "I'm the guy who does the job. You must be the other guy." That was one of my favorite quotes ever in films, man. It's just hilarious. And overall, it's a good movie. I mean, some people hated the ending. I personally thought it was great.
Hmm.
And yeah, definitely top five of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
And if you had to review it in 3 words, Hans, how would you review The Departed in 3 words?
Definitely Boston's finest. And I mean that in film is definitely
Nice.
one of the best.
Nice. I like that.
Awesome.
It's very good.
So Hans, I wanted to talk to you a little bit actually now that we have you on our show about
Haha. Stole ya.
yeah, we've got you for us. How you became a movie critic? Like, I mean, everyone's a movie critic, right? Like everybody's a critic. Like we all, as humans, it is natural. As many Game of Thrones fans are learning now to complain about shit. So,
Wait. We've been complaining and commenting about Game of Thrones since the beginning to the point where people would be like, spoilers, please.
Oh,
Spoiler
seriously.
alerts. Thank
I have not
you.
watched one episode of Game of Thrones, but yet I know about it because people won't shut up on Facebook. Like
yeah,
seriously.
Listen,
true.
it's a cultural phenomenon that has lasted for a decade, I think we're
Right.
allowed to have feelings about it at this point.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's more the joke of it is that film criticism goes beyond just complaining about stuff. Like
Yeah.
again, everyone can complain about stuff, but I've checked out your reviews, and I've of course listened to Real Movie News and Reviews, and you're very articulate, Hans. Even when you don't like something, or when you don't agree with public opinion, or when you're railing against something that like maybe just doesn't line up with how you feel about a movie, you're very articulate about it, and clearly you have a passion for film. Was reviewing movies a thing that you've always wanted to do? Did you look at movies that way since you were younger, or is it something that you found later?
Funny story is yes and no. I guess that's the way to answer that question. I'm gonna at first when I was like probably as a kid, probably like around fourth grade, I was this is where one of my uncles actually had the black box, and so he had all the pay per view movies that are that are happening, and so I used to watch a lot of it, even the ones I'm not supposed to watch, and yeah, until my parents finally knew what I was doing, they're like, "Stop watching movies," because they wanted something that I guess better for me or something. And because of that, I started getting into sports, and really, even when I was in college, I studied at the beginning print journalism to be a sports journalist. And actually, I'm a PE teacher right now, and mainly because of my love for sports and all that. But um, what reiterated my love for film again, two different scenarios. One, when I actually worked in the movie theater for college and got those free movies, and I started watching again. And that was always a good time. Just bring my friends over. It's like, hey, let's just watch a movie. And sometimes it could be something random like the movie Bratz. I remember we went to see that movie. It's because we were bored and we just wanted to see a movie because
Sure.
we could. We, and so that's what really started uh, lighting a spark in me for getting back into watching films and stuff. And what really made me start blogging, and I've been blogging for almost 6 years,
Oh, wow.
and really it's because and this was at a time where the movie theaters started doing like bargain Tuesdays and stuff like that, which were like you could watch movies for $5 no matter if it's 3D or not. And that was some good times.
Right, the good old days.
Yes, and so every Tuesday I used to watch at least one film, and I used on Facebook I just write a little blurb saying, "Hey, I just watched this. It's pretty good. It's not that good." And yeah, and apparently people were telling me, "Dude, man, I really love your reviews. You should definitely start a blog." And I was like, "You know what? I will." And
Yeah.
so and so once I started blogging, I was literally just writing for uh, about 3 years. Yeah, 3 or 4 years. And then lo and behold, our good old friend, Addie Thomas, who we knew each other from college, but we started re-talking again. And he was talking to me, hey, should come join our podcast to talk about a certain type of films. This is before they were sometimes Star Wars podcasts. They were more like a nerd podcast at the time. And I was in an episode, best comic book movie action scenes. It was me, Adi, and Ben, and I had so much fun doing it. I was like, "Hey, man, if you want me to do it again, let's do it." And I've been in a couple of episodes talk about different type of films, mainly comic book movies. That's like my favorite.
Hmm.
And what a good time to be a comic book movie fan.
Right.
And so after a while, I decided to start a YouTube channel and just record myself reviewing, which sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad. I mean, you can still find it on YouTube. You could be a judge for yourself. I mean, it's kind of hard speaking for myself. I kind of got bored of my voice, but I kept in good ties with Addy, and he told me, you know what? Let's start a podcast show where you can review movies because he told me that I think it's better if you have a conversation with somebody and talk about films. I think that's going to be more your shtick. And and so we started Real Movie News and Reviews, and man, I've been having fun so far, which we started this year. And yeah, and that's how everything got started. Even Adi was the one that inspired to call me the Real Movie Critic.
Oh,
And
really?
yes, it was all him. And because I could not come up with a name at all. I mean, it was hard for me. And I was like, I want something catchy, you know, and And so as I was thinking about it, I talked to Adi. I was like, yeah, what do you think? He was like, you know what? You should be called the Real Movie Critic. And I was like, okay, that works. And I asked him why. He says, because when it comes to your reviews, you're not like most critics, yet you're not like the common people. You have a good balance, which makes it real. And I was like, oh, okay, let's
Hmm.
do it. Let's do it. Let's call it that. And
Yeah, Addy is definitely a marketer for sure. He is good
yeah,
at that stuff. And and it's funny, I was going to ask you about how that got started, but I can totally relate to the bit about getting tired of your own voice. Like, when my interview series had moments of like I couldn't get guests or I would do episodes by myself, like while other people tend to sometimes like those episodes, I hated recording those because talking to the directly to the audience is a lot harder than talking to another person. What's been really great about this podcast in particular is not only do I get to talk to Rachel every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes more often, but
Yeah.
also a brand new voice every 2 weeks. And it makes the conversation always very interesting. Whereas when you're talking to yourself, essentially, it's like it's very easy to run out of words, do a lot of ums and uhs, and like not really figure out how to carry the conversation or even interact, you
Yeah.
know?
yeah, no, I find that very true. And if when you really get to know me, I could talk. You know, once you once you get me out of my skin, I'll talk, man. I'm that type of person that people could have a great conversation with, especially when it comes to sports and movies. Oh, we'll have a great time. And yeah, man, that's one thing I like about this podcast. And eventually in the future, we're trying to get more guests. Uh, well, right now we're for the most part we're doing it within the certain point of view family. As of right now, I know Matt, you joined in for Detective Pikachu. We had Ben in for a couple episodes, and so eventually we're going to go outside. My brother is actually going to be a guest star next week when we talk about Aladdin, the
Very
Oh,
remake.
cool.
cool.
And and my brother, he's another one that we share the same personality where we good people. We like to talk and things. And he's a big Harry Potter fan too, which I think we need that in in some of our podcast shows because we don't have that yet, and that's a huge thing in film right now. And he's one of those type
Mm-hmm.
of type of guys for Harry Potter. I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter, but he is. And so get a good mix of people to really just sit down and just discuss and have a very good conversation. And what I love about the conversation, it's definitely not confrontational. When we have a disagreement, we're not acting like jerks. You know, we
Yeah.
just agree to disagree, and that's what I love about it. Because let's face it, right now on social media, oh my goodness.
No, yeah. What I've loved about the Discord conversation that you and I have had is there have actually been many times where you and I don't agree at all. We're
Yeah.
completely on opposite ends, but it's never malicious. It's, like we had a disagreement recently about the announcement of Robert Pattinson being Batman.
Yes.
But you're coming from a place where you can't see something that I can, and instead of uh, acting out, you explained your side, I explained my side, which to me seemed very logical, and you're like, well, I don't agree, I just don't see it that way. And I appreciate that. It's a bummer when you want to talk about something that you really like and you're really passionate about, and people just want to throw jabs or just like naysay. Like, I have no problem with saying something stinks or that you don't like something. It's when
Mhm.
people just say that and won't like talk about it or elaborate,
Yeah.
because then you can't have a discussion. Like saying, you know pulling a movie out of a hat, Ghostbusters sucks, saying that and then not explaining it, or just saying, oh, it sucks because it had women in it. Like, that's
No.
not a critique. That's saying words.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, oh, I didn't think it was funny, or the script was weak, or whatever, then you can have a conversation. And that's what I love about interacting with you on the internet, as I
Mhm.
have so far, is that you're always eager to have a conversation.
Yes.
Can I just take a guess real quick as to the arpats of it all? Hans, it feels like you are not a I and this is not me like pretending I like looked at the Discord and like I'm pretending that I don't know. Because I never look at the Discord server if I'm gonna be
True.
honest. I don't. Like it pings at me. I'm in like two servers. I'm on ours, the certain POV one, and then one for Max Fun, and I don't look at either of them. But what I think is Hans, you are not very into our Pats as Batman. And Matt, you are like, I'm there for it. Am I wrong? Am I right?
You're right.
That's fair to
That's
say.
true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's totally
I'm
true.
so good at knowing people. Da na 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 na. Reading
Now,
the room.
I'll say this though, when it comes to Robert Pattinson, I already said my piece in my last episode that's actually out right now. Um, it's now I'm just gonna say, you know what? I said my piece. I'm skeptical, but I'm gonna wait till at least a trailer to really judge.
Yeah.
Because bottom line, that's what you got to do. I remember when
Yeah.
Ben Affleck got casted. I actually defended Ben Affleck to the bone, and but this one is just hard for me to get behind. It
Yeah.
really, to be quite honest. And but I hear what other people say. I don't agree per se, but you know
Mhm.
what? Bottom
Yeah.
line is, we're still gonna sit back and watch the movie, and then we'll really judge it from there. So
Yeah, I'm wondering, Hans, not to like harp on this. Um have you been following like Robert Pattinson's film career post Twilight at all?
to be quite honest, not really. I mean,
Okay.
there's been a couple films where I saw him in. It's like when he's like barely a supporting character,
Yeah. Okay,
but
cool.
no, I can't really say. And I know some people have given me examples and stuff. I try to check them out when I have the time,
Mhm.
but you know, but like I said, I'll still be skeptical
Yeah,
and
I mean,
all that.
if anything can be true, like we don't really know how stuff's gonna go until it goes. If Game of Thrones is any indication, where you're just like, I don't know, how's it gonna go till it goes there, and you're like, ooh, it went to a place. Thanks, I hate it, but it went there. Okay, like it's the age old proverb of counting one's chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
Like I personally, if I'm gonna be real about it, I'm fine with Robert Pattinson playing the Batman. Like it feels like they always just like do weird choices for it anyway. So like, why not? Like
And
it's
there's
an adult man in a bat costume who punches people instead of using his millions of dollars to actually work on infrastructure of his city, but okay. Yeah, cast Edward. I love it.
yeah, but there's always going to be an outcry whoever they cast for Batman. I
Of
mean,
course.
Yeah.
yeah, that's part of it. It's part of the passion when it
Yeah.
comes to fanboys and comic book readers and stuff. And but Batman is one of my favorite characters, comic book characters ever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's why when it comes to Batman, when I see it, you're gonna hate what I'm gonna say, but when you see a glowing vampire that's about to be cast on it, I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
But we'll see. He's an actor. He'll probably hit the gym big time, and and see how it goes. We'll see, man.
I mean, what's that's fair though. I mean, if that's your only exposure to him, like I've seen a bunch of his other movies, but if that's your only exposure to him, of course you're going to have questions, because it's a
Hmm.
that was a very specific role that he played in his
And it
many
was
movies.
so like so bad, it's
Yeah,
a miracle that like anyone who was in that movie like got out of it okay. It's
yeah,
really a testament to like the talent they got, that like
yeah,
this is like garbage written show could just be dealt with, and like they do a pretty good job even though the logic of that entire film franchise is non-existent, and they're just like, I love you because I want to eat you, I guess. But
It's so
also,
bad.
you have to
Oh
we have to get married first, but also
my.
go away. Just like the
Uh,
internal logic of the Twilight universe
yeah,
is garbage. It's garbledy but like
yeah.
Pattinson is a well regarded indie darling, like he's
right.
done all
Hmm.
kinds of indie films, and
Hmm.
like say what you want about like Kristen Stewart as well, like she's also like been like working the indie circuit, just like making film
Yeah.
after film and like cranking them out and like doing a relatively good job.
No, and
Yeah,
I've seen more Kristen Stewart movies than Robert Patterson, and
and
yeah,
this
She's starting to come to me.
and
So,
this is why Kristen Stewart should be cast as Vicky Vale.
oh no, that's
No, 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 no. I'm kidding. Let our Pats have
oh,
this. Like,
okay.
let's not bring his cheating ex into it. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
Let's just keep her out. Mm.
it's funny though. Like this is the kind of thing though that I like about modern movies and talking about them is the speculation. But you're absolutely right, Hans. The fact that people go overboard with their outrage before we even see anything. Like, you're saying that you doubt it and you're skeptical, but you're not raging about it because you've not seen anything yet. Whereas
Yeah.
there are other people acting out about it, getting petitions signed. Like, it's just the
Yeah.
level of stupidity that people will rise to. Like, look, I was just as angry as everybody else about how stupid the Sonic trailer looked, but I was not one of those people who said, "Oh, make all of those artistic directors and animators do all of their work over again." You
Yeah,
know,
Oh man.
I honestly, I don't think that the consensus was you have to reanimate Sonic. It was just,
no.
why does this look so bad? Don't you don't don't you know that it looks like, did these creatives look at this and go, that doesn't look bad or horrifying, or oh god, the teeth. It's just that moment of, you guys, people approved this,
Yeah.
repeatedly approved this. What is happening? You
Yeah,
know?
like, on the list of problems with that movie, like, there's script, casting,
Hmm.
directing, like
Yeah.
all of that before
Yeah.
animating. And
Yeah.
also it's like, and I've talked about this on Fun and Games, like, everyone had this outcry for a recent game, Sekiro, because it's so hard. And like, you can't put an easy mode in it because it ruins the artistic vision, which is a load of crap, but whatever. But those same people are like, "Oh, we should change Sonic. He sucks." Well, what about their artistic integrity? Like, artists created that version of Sonic with Sega. Like, their artistic integrity doesn't count when it's something you don't like. It's just the hypocrisy in a lot of modern pop culture drives me crazy, which is why I've become such a fan of your work, Hans, is because you are real. You're honest, but like, when you're wrong or if you misspoke or you change your mind, like, you're always honest. And I've heard you say, "Oh, I've changed my mind on this," or "I actually liked this thing when I didn't think I would." And that's the sign of someone who actually just genuinely enjoys the art and isn't here to, like, make headlines, as it were.
Yeah.
Well, can we have both at least,
Yeah,
maybe?
totally. I think you can have,
Sure.
listen, I think you can have it both. I think you can have it all, Hans. You know what?
All right.
Like,
Have
you
my cake
can,
and eat it too. All right.
yeah, yeah, just like make two cakes.
Okay. I mean, and another kind of like a disagreement me and Matt had in Discord was about the Lion King.
Oh yeah.
And I think that one I was really like passionate about, and that's because I love the Lion King. That's definitely one of my favorite Disney movies, and when I saw the trailer for the remake, it's like a spirit in me just came into me, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. And then I go to Discord or Facebook, and they're like, this sucks, and I'm like, no, why? Just be happy. I mean, please be happy. I could understand Aladdin, but not the Lion King. And and it's funny because I was saying this, and then Matt asked me a question: why do you really think this movie is good? And I gave
Yeah.
my my response, and he's like, yeah, I respect that.
Hmm.
And I was like, great. And I joke around in Discord saying, hey, I think we're best friends now.
Yeah.
And so, but man, it's just I love people first and foremost. I'm not here to offend. I'm here to make friends.
Yeah.
Sure. Well,
And
and I think what's really interesting about the Disney conversation that we had is, like, well, I think that the trailer just really didn't do anything for me. But that said, nobody wants a successful live action Lion King movie more than me, because The Lion King and Aladdin are two of my favorite movies. Like,
mhm.
I loved those movies growing up, and the cast is so incredible for the remake. Like, Donald Glover, James Earl Jones is back, John Oliver, like
Hmm.
Yeah.
like it really, really, and I know a Beyonce's in it, like, such a great cast. That's, I think, what's making me sad, is that the trailer didn't showcase that, and my nostalgia wasn't enough to carry me through. Whereas with Aladdin, I've kind of almost completely written it off, because I recently rewatched the animated one with my nephews and nephew and nieces, and they don't have the frame of reference I do growing up and loving Robin Williams, and they're still
Mhm.
laughing out loud and having a good time.
Yeah.
And I realized it's because Robin Williams used that movie as a showcase for his impressions and to just
Well,
do ridiculous stuff.
well,
Yeah.
I recently watched a really cool Lindsay Ellis video essay about the history of Robin
I watched that
Williams
today too.
as the genie, and it's more like they were inspired by his frenetic energy,
Yeah.
and that's what they created. It's less that Robin Williams was given this role to showcase his talents. It was Robin Williams inspired this role and then brought it to life after like it's the passing of like that art just like going back and forth, and then like that's what makes it so very good. It's just like this was designed for and portrayed by a singular person who everybody was like behind the vision of.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. And I think that reads so well. And so, like, seeing the trailers, like, I saw they released a clip of Will Smith's version of Prince Ali. And while, he's a good musician, and I'm a huge Will Smith fan. Like, I love
Hmm. Hmm.
him. I think he's really charismatic. I love his music, even some of the not great stuff. Like, I've always been a fan of his work.
Hmm.
But, like, there's just the energy level in the version that they showed recently of the live action one versus Robin Williams version of that song. Like, it's apples and oranges,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah. Yeah.
one is so frenetic and high energy and the impressions and him shape shifting, and then the live action one is just Will Smith in his human form singing, and but there's no like transforming into other characters or creatures. There's no changing his voice because because Will Smith's MO is not impressions. He doesn't do impressions of other people. He's himself, and that's where
Hmm.
his charisma comes from. And
Hmm.
I'm just not feeling it from his genie. And it's such a bummer because for me at least, the whole movie is the genie. Like, I love all
Yeah.
of the cast of characters, but for me, the genie is what I loved about the original. And so to see that seeming so downplayed in the new version, for me, is sad. And don't get me wrong, I love the casting. I love the actors I've seen and everything they've done on screen besides the genie stuff. Like, it looks like there's potential there,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I just don't feel the energy. Like, rewatching Aladdin as an adult with my nephew and nieces, I still teared up when Genie was set free. I still got really excited. I got really anxious when Jasmine's in the hourglass. Like, I still feel all the feelings I felt watching
Mhm.
that movie, and
Mhm.
none of the trailers for Aladdin have given me any of that, and that's
Yeah.
what seems like the biggest bummer to me.
It's okay
Yeah.
though. They're gonna give Jeannie a love interest in this one, so that'll be
Really?
fun.
I'm sorry, what?
Really?
Yeah, rumors are going about, and I think they're pretty true about a love interest written into this new live action remake of
Oh,
Aladdin.
Lord.
I'll look it up.
Oh my
Aladdin
goodness.
I just
Oh man.
like I get
remake.
I get making it different. Like, if you're gonna remake something, like, add some changes and make it its own thing, fine. But like, that's not the answer.
Yeah, I think two things we gotta accept. One, we're not gonna get Roberts with his genie. You
Right,
know, if
of
you're
course.
expecting that, you're gonna be greatly disappointed. And two, and maybe the focus is not the genie. Maybe more the focus might be with Aladdin and
Yeah.
Princess Jasmine, which that's not a bad thing,
No.
to be quite honest. And so, we just gotta. I mean, if they make it frame for frame the same movie, it's not gonna do well.
No,
It
of
No.
has
course
to
not.
be different. That was my gripe with Beauty and the Beast because it's practically the same.
Yeah,
and and so, yeah, we just gotta have to accept that. I just hope whatever differences they make, it makes sense and it captures a different essence for us to really
sure.
enjoy it. That's what I hope, at least. So, but yeah, we'll see. It's coming out this weekend, so I'm taking my family out to watch that as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to tune in for your review because I'm definitely not going to the theater for it. Though, if you tell me it's great, I would believe you, Hans, and then I might go see it.
I'll go see it for free.
I mean, that's the best way to see a movie, right?
Yeah.
Is for free.
Yeah.
Um, Hans, thank you so much for
Thank you,
being on this episode.
Hans.
This has been so fun.
Yeah, for
You
sure,
know
man.
it's coming, but before we get to that, Rachel, we have some thank yous.
Yes, thank you to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Rembel. I'm keeping it. It's fine. I'm very grateful. I'm
We're
also in
we're
my pajamas, so I'm like sleeping. I'm ready. I'm already in bed.
and I, of course, would like to thank Katie Bug for our incredible logo. You are the bomb diggity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna cuddle in my bed with our image that Katie Bug drew and the music video for Aurora. Just nestled in my arms as I drift off to sleep tonight. That's how great these things are and how much I love them and the creators of them.
Also, really quick, I want to shout out Certain POV, which is the network we're on,
Yeah.
certainpov.com. You can check out Hans's podcast with Addy, Real Movie News and Reviews. Their newest episode just dropped as of when we're recording. So it'll be about a week old when you're hearing this. But definitely go check out their stuff. It's a great, fun podcast. If you want some hot takes on trailers and some in-depth reviews of some of the latest movies, it's definitely the place to go.
Yeah.
Rachel, ask Hans the ever important question.
Hans,
Ooh,
listen. Hans, may I call you Hans?
of course you can.
Good. I have been this whole time. Uh in the wide scope of movies of which you've seen a large number, there are certain reverberating instances of generalized storytelling, a trope, as it were. If you could select any one of these from the pantheon of cinema to magically transform your life so that this trope would be yours to have forever, to be true for you, what trope would you choose?
Oh man, and I have thought about this question. But I mean, it got to a point where when I listened to every episode just for that question, so I won't repeat it. And one of the things I wanted to say has already been taken about having superpowers, where I could just dive in a pool of toxic waste and have superpowers. But
Yeah.
that's already been taken. But here's one trope that I've noticed, and it doesn't make any sense, but I wish that could happen in real life.
Hmm.
Is like, how can you have like a blue collar job, let's say selling hot dogs in a corner, and yet you still have a good house or apartment you live in,
You know,
especially in a city like New York.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
see,
And
you
you
see
know
what I'm
what?
saying?
Yeah, I do. I do see what you're saying. And you know what? We can make that a reality. Let's vote smarter in our next elections. You know,
For
let's
sure.
let's
That'll help
choose
that trope come
let's
true.
choose representatives that want to give us living conditions at
I mean, at
all.
least respectable living conditions. I mean, you have a person
Just
that's like a performer on the street, and yet lives in a three-bedroom apartment. I mean, it does not make any sense, but it happens in movies. I'm like,
yeah.
hey, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, and you know what? I wish that there were just more architects, Just like that's the trope I want this week. Just more architects, because it seems like every movie somebody's a fucking architect. It's just vague enough to work.
I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't know if y'all seen the movie Knocked Up. I mean, these guys barely have any jobs, and yet they afford a house with a
Yeah.
pool.
Oh
Even though the
yeah.
pool is dirty, but
Still
it's
a
just,
pool.
So
yeah, it's just it does not make any sense. But I wish that could happen. I mean,
yeah.
seriously. But hey, with that said, I do enjoy my teaching job, and it does make the ends meet at the very least.
There
So,
you go.
That's good.
It's
Well,
great.
again, thank you, Hans, for joining
Thank
us.
you,
thanks
Hans.
for having me, man.
This
Uh,
has been a pleasure.
yes, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I, of course, have been Matt, aka Stormageddon.
I have been Rachel Quirky Shank.
And we will see all y'all at the movies.
Yeah, y'all at the movies. Cue music.